Welcome back to another episode of The Last Lap. Thank you guys so much for joining us. My name is Jimmy, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host Matthew, as always. Today we got a lot of news to break for you guys. We have at least 6 or 7 things to talk about on today's episode. So be ready and let's hop right into it. Before we hop into today's video, we just want to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel, like this video, follow us on Instagram and all of that stuff. Helps us grow, helps us reach more people, so we really appreciate that. Now, let's hop into the news. The first topic of today's video is Hailie Deegan, who is competing in the truck series full-time next year. She used a word while she was streaming on some type of platform, Twitch, something like that. And she said a word that, it was what?
It was Twitch.
It was Twitch, yeah, that's what I
It
thought.
was actually our first Twitch stream too, as well. It was our first one.
So she was on Twitch and she was racing with people, and she said a word that she shouldn't have. And so I'm just going to read the tweet directly from Hailie Deegan. She said, "Earlier tonight, I used an insensitive word during an online race being broadcast on Twitch. It was inappropriate slang and a stupid thing to do. I apologize to everyone who was offended by it. There's no excuse for it, and I know I have to do better for my sponsors and fans." So NASCAR ended up responding and tweeting out something themselves, and they said that NASCAR requires Hailie Deegan to take sensitivity training based on her actions. So Matthew, what is your thought on this whole Hailie Deegan controversy?
It's a tough decision for NASCAR, I feel like, because we're talking about a rising star in NASCAR. That's probably, I mean, he's already like top 5 popular driver in all 3 series combined, because how big of a platform Hailie Deegan has. And in terms of the word itself, like I heard this word all over high school, middle school. I heard this word a lot. It's a common word, it seems like, but it doesn't mean we should be saying that word as well. It doesn't mean it should be part of our regular vocabulary, as it is for some people really sensitive and insulting. But I feel like NASCAR was in a tough spot on this one, because this isn't obvious like the Larson incident. Like Larson, what he did was stupid, and he deserved all that. He deserved that punishment, what he got for sure. But he's able to make up for that and show like he wants to change and stuff like that. As for the punishment, I don't know if it's the right thing, or I don't know if they should have done more. But like I feel like for Hailie Deegan herself, she should just take this, take the lesson learned from this, take the sensitivity training seriously, and try to learn from this, because she's a rising star right now. She's probably gonna be top 5 popular driver, and all. She's probably gonna be like top 5 popular driver when she's gonna be in the Cup Series one day, maybe. But if I were Hailie Deegan, I would take those lessons seriously and learn from this, so she can continue to grow as a driver, but also as a person, as an individual herself.
Yeah, I agree that NASCAR is in a pretty tough situation here, just because of what happened with Kyle Larson earlier this year, and then just the way our society is heading right now. But like you said, the word that was used, it's common kind of, but at the same time it shouldn't be said, because obviously some people are offended by it, and Hailie Deegan did recognize that, and she did apologize for it, which is good. As far as for the punishment, I think what they did is good, because I don't think NASCAR can just let something like that slide, even if it's just a word like the one that was used. I saw a tweet from Bob Pockers, and he said that like that word, the word that was used, there hadn't been any punishment for it or anything in the past, but I think times are definitely changing, and I think NASCAR at least should have like given a little slap on the wrist to Hailie Deegan to be like, hey, you need to represent us a little bit better than that, and just don't say negative things when you're streaming and stuff like that, because streaming has come a long way in the past few years, and all kinds of people are doing it. So that wasn't a big thing back in the day, but with now with the technology and streaming and all that stuff, I think NASCAR does need to take it a little bit more seriously, and they did. And they gave her a tiny slap on the wrist and said, "Hey, go do this training." So
I feel
yeah,
like
compared to the Larson thing, like it's not that bad at all. But I think the NASCAR definitely did need to at least apply a little bit of punishment here.
And I feel like this sad part is I feel this is not going to be the last time this is going to happen because of the rising popularity of streaming. More drivers are going to be doing that now with iRacing, and hopefully they make a good console game for once. But that's a conversation for another day. But I feel like this won't be the last incident, whether it's that word or any other word they should not be saying. It is unfortunate, but I won't not be surprised if this happens again with another high profile driver who forgets that their mic is on apparently and that everybody can hear them. So hopefully other drivers learn from these two mistakes now in a short of a few months. Larson, now Deegan.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, that NASCAR drivers in general need to look at this and be like, okay, I really need to behave myself when I'm on stream. Like, it's okay to get upset and have fun while you're streaming and playing a game or whatever, whether it's NASCAR related or Call of Duty or whatever. It's completely fine to have fun while you're doing that and get upset and everything. But you definitely remember that they're live and they're talking to thousands of people. And if they say one wrong thing, then somebody will call them out for it, and it could potentially ruin their career. So we saw with Kyle Larson. Thankfully, he got reinstated and everything, but I think both of these situations just need to be taken aware of by like everybody, not even just NASCAR, just everybody in general who streams or whatever. So that's what we got for this topic, and we're going to hop right into the next one. Our next topic in today's video is going to be a few announcements for drivers and teams trying to make an appearance in the Daytona 500. So the first one of those is going to be Noah Gragson, who raced last year full-time with Junior Motorsports and is racing again with them full-time this year in Junior Motorsports. He's attempting to make the Daytona 500 with a team called Beard Motorsports, who is the owner of the number 62 car, who Brendan Gaughan raced for a few years in the final years of his career. My opinion on this is I think it's great that Noah Gragson's going to try to attempt to make the Daytona 500, because I definitely think he can make his way into the Cup Series at some point after he's done with Junior Motorsports. And it's going to be competitive too. There's a lot of drivers trying to make the Daytona 500 this year, so that can mean a lot of action in the duels this year. They're on Thursday night. But yeah, that's Noah Gragson, and then Matthew's going to talk about the other driver that's going to attempt to make the Daytona 500.
So for the next new Daytona 500 entry that came out is Kaz Grala, who will be driving the number 16 Chevy for Calling Racing, who is really well known. One of the more favorite Xfinity Series teams, as they've become like one big family, it seems like, with all the drivers together. And as for my personal opinion, I was actually really surprised. I'm not surprised that Calling Racing's in Daytona 500. I mean, they did this last year, but I was more surprised that was Kaz Grala. I thought it would be Justin Hailie, considering that's basically Calling Racing's future right there. For when they eventually move the Cup full time, we expect Justin Hailie being full time in that ride. But Kaz Grala is also a good driver because in the Daytona Road Course, he raced the number 3 car for Austin Dillon, who had tested positive and he couldn't drive. So getting that 3 car, and he actually ran the top 10 and that finished top 10 in that race. So I'm happy for Kaz Grala. I'm happy for this Calling Racing team. As far as my expectations, if they made the 500 last year, then I expect them to make it in the 500 again this year. But it's Daytona. We don't know what will happen. But I'm happy to see more of these teams trying to get in Daytona 500. We're finally going to have a dual races that are actually competitive for once, because they're trying to race their way in. So I'm happy to see more teams entering the 500 this year than it has been the past few years.
So the next topic we're going to discuss in today's video is Raphael Lassard, who was a driver for KBM in the Truck Series last season. He's actually going to be moving over to GMS Racing next year, arguably the most dominant team in the Truck Series right now. And I expect big things out of him, honestly, just because of the equipment he's moving into. Obviously, last year at KBM, he didn't really perform that well. He did get a win at Talladega, but besides that, he didn't really perform that well. But moving over to GMS, I expect big things out of Raphael Lassard. I don't really have too big of predictions because obviously his driving last year wasn't that good, but moving into this equipment, which is possibly better than KBM equipment, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I expect big things out of Raphael Lassard going into 2021. And Matthew is going to talk about another change in the Xfinity Series next year.
So a new manufacturer change is coming into a Xfinity Series team for 2021. It's Ryan Sieg, who used to drove Chevys during last season, the past few years, and they outperformed their equipment for sure and exceeded expectations in the playoffs. So they switching to Fords now, and my opinion, we needed more Fords in Xfinity Series. There was only 2 Fords literally last season. Austin Cindric and Chase Briscoe. Now we're gonna have another Ford in there, which I think that helps because there's way too many Chevys and Toyotas in the Xfinity Series last year. So we needed something a little different. But as for their performance, I think they might struggle a little bit in the first half, but I think they'll come together in the second half, and I'm hoping he'll finally win the Xfinity Series race next season because he was close. He's been close a few times already.
So the final topic in today's video is going to be a paint scheme update for you guys. The first of which is William Byron and his 2021 Exalta Chevrolet. So for those of you who don't know, Exalta used to be the sponsor of DuPont, and DuPont was the sponsor Jeff Gordon drove for most of his career in the 24 car. And they released a paint scheme today that looks pretty similar to his older paint scheme. It's mostly black, and then it has like the rainbow flames on it, kind of, sort of. But I like it. It pops. It's definitely a lot better than his older Exalta paint schemes, William Byron's, that is. But I like it. It pops, and it'll definitely stand out on the racetrack.
So for the next paint scheme that came out today was probably the more anticipated one that came out was Bubba Wallace's DoorDash Toyota for the new 2311 Racing. And I was looking at the paint scheme. That paint scheme looks so amazing. It looks basic, but also almost perfect at the same time. It's nothing too, bright, nothing too, messy all over the place. I think it looks amazing. I cannot wait to see it on the track and in person. I can finally go to a race. But I'm looking forward to see more of his other sponsor paint schemes, like especially the Dr. Pepper car. I think that's going to be an interesting looking car when they release that paint scheme sometime soon.
That is all for today's episode of The Last Lap. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know that was a lot of news for you guys, but let us know your opinions on some of the news. Make sure you guys subscribe, like the video, follow us on Instagram, all that stuff. Like I said before, it really means a lot to us that you guys are tuning into our videos, and we look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.